Okay, we're going to be looking at the cervicothoracic area. Now, we've already covered a couple of manipulations, a flexion extension manipulation using the supine technique. There's one other technique that works really well, and again, this is a long traction technique that's effective from about C6 through about T1, maybe T2. And it's particularly useful for symmetrical problems where the patient just can't flex or extend rather than on one side being able to flex or extend. Very effective technique. Really quite simple once you get the hang of it. Okay, let's sit your face that way, Mark. I'm back on the bed. All right, we're going to get the patient sitting near the edge of the bed. Now, I want the patient up high because I'm going to be applying traction by pushing his head up. So I want the bed really quite high for this one. You're better off with the bed too high than too low. You can always lower the patient by extending them at the hip. But I need to be underneath where I'm going to manipulate. Patient puts their hands on the back of their neck and lock their fingers. Now, depending on how flexible they are, we'll try and get those lower fingers, the index fingers, over the superior vertebra of the segment I'm going to treat. So they'll stabilise it. The neck is stabilised in the hands. Now, I'm going to reach through and put my hands on the back of these, and I'll show you this from the other angle afterwards. There. Now, making sure not to do this with his shoulders. I'm going to rock backwards and forwards. Now, the backwards will give me the traction. And at the extent of one of these traction techniques, I'm going to thrust upwards with my hands. There. Okay, let's look at it from the other angle. You can see what my legs are doing. So the patient puts their hands on the back of the neck. I vary the height of the fingers to where I want it to be. That would be about C6. Bring your hands lower down. Maybe T1. Some patients can hardly get their hands up there, but if we can do that, that's great. So he's in that position. He sits right back against the end of the bed again, the side of the bed. I'm going to come in, put my hands over his hands. I don't have to lock my fingers at all for this. They're going to go over his hands there. If you find that you can't reach it, you can grab his wrists and do it there, providing he's got good locking on his fingers. In that position there. I turn sideways onto him, so I'm in a stride stance, and I simply rock backwards and forwards from the front leg to the back leg, and as I come onto the back leg, that's where I apply the traction, and that's where I apply the thrust. Good technique, fairly innocuous, and it gets to be used quite a bit. This is one of those areas that is easy to treat, usually not that painful, but can have quite a bit of an effect on the neck itself.